pjnet.tv Part 2, and sorry for the hold-up, folks. It is going to be worth it. We are running the bumper, recording and streaming. Michelle is waiting now that she got the link to the studio. Chat room's waiting. We've got a lot of good stuff for you. Counting it down to Studio 37 Alpha. Okay, we're back. pjnet.tv, and the fun continues. It is time, as we do, it's a kind of a tradition on Wednesday night. Michelle Medlock Adams, the superstar of children's books and all things spiritual. We have her standing by. We finally, folks, I'm sorry you had to wait. For some reason, she didn't get the link to the studio, but you've got it now. Oh, Michelle, I misspelled platinum behind you, so.
Oh no!
No, we can't do that. We're gonna have to we got to do this better. Let's spell it correctly now. Yeah, how about
backwards.
that? Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see now. That's better.
We can do that. Well, hey, what you doing this weekend?
I'm gonna be right where Lori is. I was in the chat room. I'm like, I didn't know she was going. This is the Christian Product Expo. Used to be the Christian Booksellers Association. They used to have a couple of events a year. It was always a highlight of my year. You go and sign at your publisher's booths. How many publishers you have, you'll sign, and sometimes they'll take you out for fancy dinners, and you get to do a lot of media. And there's an awards banquet on Sunday with Golden Scrolls, and that's through ASA, and the Christian Market Book Awards are there, and it's just an amazing time to connect with people. And they've not been having them because of COVID, and so I was excited to get to go this weekend. I thought, well, this will be great. I'll be signing 3 different books at CPE, and then we're going to be at the same Barnes & Noble. Dell Didway, we're going to be signing Heart of a Hoosier on Sunday afternoon right after my awards banquet. And so because it's not specifically a Christian book, it's inspirational, so we couldn't sign it at CPE, so we're going to sign it at the Barnes & Noble. So I love that. Like, I'll take pictures for you, Lori. I volunteer. I'll be there.
Yeah.
So just holler at me. I'll be glad to snap some photos. I'm all about that. I'm so glad she's going to be there. It's been a bit since we've all been in person, so that's going to be fun.
Do you remember your first Barnes & Noble book signing?
Absolutely. Like it was yesterday. It was for my book, Conversations on the Ark, which is a picture book that came out through Ideals, which is now Hachette. They bought all the, all the big ones buy all the other ones. But Ideals, which was Worthy, which they now purchased. But yes, I remember it. I was in Fort Worth, Texas. I was thrilled. They made me author of the month, that particular Barnes & Noble store, which I didn't even know what that meant, but I'd never seen my name like up on a billboard before. I was like, oh my goodness, I could die right now. It was very exciting. And I remember going in, and this was before you had cell phones to do selfies with, right? This has been taking it way back. So we brought the big, huge camera in, and Jeff's taking some pictures of me. I'm by, go doing this, hey, look at this right here. Here's my book. And I wasn't a bit embarrassed. So I'm like, I don't even care. I've worked hard with this. I'm so excited. And then we, they set it up. And I will say that particular signing ended up being amazing because in Fort Worth and Dallas area, there's always events going on. And there were a couple of Christian music groups that were in town that particular weekend. This is such a God thing. My little girls were they were young. They were like maybe 5 and 7, Abby and Allie. And we all went to the Barnes & Noble together, and Jeff had taken them, to go get ice cream and stuff because it went on for a couple, 3 hours. And at some point when they were gone, I actually had a little bit of a line. I mean, sometimes people will walk past you and they will do anything but make direct eye contact with you. Just so not wanting to buy any books. And so they had me positioned right by the Starbucks, which made it difficult to really avoid me because lots of people are going to Starbucks. But anyway, I couldn't believe I had a little bit of a line. And this one guy, he definitely didn't fit in with Texas. He had longer hair and he had an Australian accent. And I thought, who is this guy? And anyway, he asked me to sign a book to his daughter. And so I did. And I just said, thank you so much for buying my book, and gave him a bookmark and sent him on his way. And then he got back in line maybe 30, 40 minutes later. And I thought, what is going on? Do I need to call security? Is this guy? Yeah, I was like, what is going on? Right. I was hoping that wasn't it. And I remember thinking that was very, very, it was very strange. And so we got back in line, and it came, and I was so nervous. and he came up and he said, he introduced himself. Can't remember his name now. It's, been many, many years ago. But he was actually in town with one of those Christian groups. And the group that was opening for them was Zoe Girl, which my daughters adored at the time. And he said, I'm with this little band, and he named the band. And then he said, we're in town doing some Christian concerts. I would love it if to bless you the way you bless me. And he gave us 4 tickets, myself, my husband, and our 2 girls. And I thought, what a nice guy. And so his name was Phil. That's all I remember. So we went, and the girls were so excited they got to meet, their favorite group. And they thought, for the first time, they thought what Mommy did was really cool. So we had such a good time. But that was my first Barnes & Noble book signing. I'm telling you, it's thrilling. I mean, I totally know what Lori is experiencing. It's the first time you see your book in a bookstore, an actual bookstore. It's just like exciting. But I'll tell you a secret. It doesn't ever get less exciting. It really doesn't. I have over 100 books, and every time I see my book in a bookstore, I'm just as excited. I may hide it a little bit better, but probably not. I still take selfies by the books, and I'm still thrilled anytime that I see my book out. I call it seeing it out in the wild, and they call it a shelfie, not a selfie. If it's on the shelf and you take a picture, I take lots of selfies. Yeah. And so it's just a thing.
Yeah, that'd be narcissistic.
It's exciting because it's a privilege. It's a privilege to have your work out there, and so I'm giving Lori a virtual hug. I know how exciting that is. Well, there's just nothing like it to know that God opened the door and you just walked through it, and it's pretty thrilling, Coach. I'm not gonna lie.
I can only imagine. But have you ever had an uncomfortable or even bad experience during a book signing?
Not really. They've all gone pretty well. I mean, other than it's awkward sometimes when people don't want to buy your book. They're like literally crawling on their belly so they don't have to make eye contact with you. Like that's awkward. That's because I'm like, I want to go. I see you right there. Like I see you. Like it just makes I just want. It's okay if you don't buy my book. I think the thing I learned about doing book signings is it's not always just about the book. So I even teach this. It's in the book that Kyle and I put together about writing and selling children's books in the Christian market. It's better to make it an event, not just a book signing, if you're able to do that. So oftentimes, it's a good thing to have some candy if you've got that, or have something interactive to bring them over to the table. I often will do readings if it's a picture book or something. I'll do readings every so many, like every 30 minutes or so. They'll make the CRM, the community relations manager, will make an announcement. Hey, author Michelle Medlock Adams going to be in the children's area doing a reading of her latest book, and then she'll name it. And then, kids will come over and I'll read to them. And if you have an event of some sort, or you do a craft or something, you get a lot more people than just people passing by. But either way, it's a fun thing to do. It's always awkward if nobody stops.
It's hard to just stand there. I mean, I know that it can be awkward, but and this is true. Like I've been to conventions, even at the flea market. People are walking by. Like I said, they're trying to avoid eye contact because, well, they don't want to feel, but
they don't feel bad. Yeah.
But there's over the years you've probably found some techniques like you've talked about. Have something to give away. Have just if you have something to give away, that takes some of the pressure off.
That's helpful. It's always good to have bookmarks and stickers that go with your book or something like that. Also, the reason I find that to be really helpful is if I'm going into a school to talk about being an author, or they always have Young Authors Day, usually where they've been asked to write books, or they'll have some kind of a career day, and they have me come in and speak about being an author. I always bring my books to sell. That's part of the gig. If I don't charge them for me to come and speak, and I don't ever charge here locally, then I can make a little bit of money by selling my books. And so it's nice. But not every child can buy a book, and you have to know that going in. And those that can't will be very sad. So you want to be able to have something that you can sign for them. So by providing free bookmarks or free stickers, everybody goes home with something.
Right.
Yeah. So I always think about that even when I'm going to Barnes & Noble or something, that there might be some children who really want the book and they can't afford it. And I can't just give it to them because it's through Barnes & Noble.
Yeah.
It's not like just where at the school I can just give it to them. I can't do that at Barnes & Noble. So I always like to have something I can give them so that everybody goes home feeling happy about everything. So yeah, that group that we got to see was the Newsboys and Zoe Girl. But when the Newsboys, it was Phil, somebody who was in the band that gave us those tickets. Those things happen not at every book signing, obviously, but when those kinds of things happen, there's all these, it just seems like God has these divine connections for you at these kinds of events, whether it's a book signing or this Christian product expo where you go. It's just amazing to me. I always pray for that. Lord, I thank you for your supernatural favor and that you open doors and close doors and help me not to miss those opportunities. And I think it's amazing the networking that God does. He's really good at that. So I expect Lori will be experiencing some of that this weekend. And I pray that I will and that Dell will. And there's a lot of my author friends going to be there. I'm excited to see everybody.
Well, I am going to give you something. I am going to
Okay.
give you the most unusual marketing advice you've ever heard, but it actually happened and it actually works. Because I used to go to conventions and, people are expressing the same kinds of themes. That fabric is kind of woven, or that thread is woven into that fabric is, you make a major investment, in having a booth at a convention. So
Mm-hmm.
you want some ROI.
Right.
So some people were discussing, and I was in the group that had the discussion, and they said, how do we get people how do we connect with people? And like things like you said, came up,
Mm-hmm.
having a giveaway item. Um, and it was my turn, and I said, clear your tables. Huh? I said, take everything off your table and take all the signs down and just stand behind the table. And they looked at me like I was crazy, which they might have been right. But I demonstrated it the next day. You know what people will do when they walk by and there's nothing on the table and you're just standing there? They'll stop.
They'll come,
They'll
yeah, because they don't know what's
and,
going
and
on.
they'll say, what are you selling?" And I proved it. I proved it. Sometimes I wonder, do we try too hard? But I literally proved it that people, it's just unexpected.
Yes, that'd
Take
be
your
for
name
sure.
tags off and just kind of stand there. And but I wouldn't recommend that as a strategy. But here's the lesson. We all invest in business cards, and
Mm-hmm.
literature, for that. I call those deal killers. Okay, culturally, when you have an encounter and you ask you got to ask for the sale. You ask a closing question, and they will say something like, "Well, do you have some literature?" And people thought, "Oh, yeah, I've got this glossy trifold that we had an advertising agency print 20,000 of. It cost us." Those are deal killers. It allows the person to leave the sales confrontation. And I was literally given. I ran out. I ran out of literature. And so, of course, someone said, "Do you have any literature?" I said, "Actually, I don't. Is there any reason you can't just decide right now?" And the guy signed. And I thought to myself, of all that literature I handed out, I never got a phone call saying, I did go home and talk to my wife about this, and we'd like to know how to sign up for your product or service.
Mm-hmm.
It's deal killers. Ask for the sale, and you know, but I like your advice. Have something to give away. Make it fun. Have fun.
Especially when kids are involved. At this particular show, the CPE, it's there won't be a lot of children there. It's mostly bookstore owners and
Mm-hmm.
distributors and gift shops that carry books, and so they'll be
Mm-hmm.
there buying books for their shops
Wow.
and for all the little independents, and that's it's a great way to make eye contact and to engage with the bookstore owners. I've gotten events booked off of this. I've done several virtual ones this past year just by people that I've met at past events. It's always just a great time to do that. I think when you've got books to sell, you can't do what you said. I think that wouldn't work for maybe
Mm-hmm.
authors. I think it's good. Like I even had magnets made, whether they use them or not. I always keep those on my fridge. I love those. People have been married for 20 years and I've still got their magnet to save the date on my fridge because I like magnets and it's got their picture on it and I pray for them, that kind of thing. So I have one that's got like all my, my recent books covers on the front of it. And it's just got my website, that kind of thing. I think it's good to send people home with something as a reminder because they're going to be meeting hundreds of authors. And, I hope that they'll remember me or whatever my book is.
Okay. Well, so you're going to be dealing with professionals. Okay, not
Right.
okay.
That's right. Not
All
just,
right. Well,
yeah.
here. Okay. In that case, I'll give you something for free.
Okay.
You probably have some business cards or something like that, and
Yeah.
you will. Many people will gauge how well they did by how many business cards they handed out. And I slap them in the face and say, "How many business cards did you get?"
Right. Yeah. That's right.
People say, "Do you have a
Yeah.
card?" No, ran out of them. Give me yours.
Yeah. There you go. And you know what? I love to get people's business cards. I like to be, I used to have a big book that I would put them in.
Uh huh.
And then problem was I would start to lose those before I'd get home from whatever event I was at.
Really?
They'd
Yeah.
be in the bottom of my big purse, and
Yeah.
we don't even know what's in the bottom of that purse. Things
Yeah.
can be lost in there.
Yeah. Purse dust.
So,
Yeah. Yeah.
right.
Hmm.
I mean, it's crazy. So Kyle, my agent, said, why don't you just take pictures of it with your phone? So the ones that you definitely want to remember, you've got in your phone by when you get home. And I thought that was great advice.
That's
So the
good.
ones I know I really need to not lose, I will take a picture with my phone. So it's in my phone in case I lose a card when I get home. But I'll say something to encourage Lori and just whoever else might be going to any kind of event, not just necessarily this one this weekend. If you are an author and you are, really it would work for any business, but everybody's got their own agenda. You've got your own goal, whether it's to sell X amount of copies or make this many connections or do this many interviews, or maybe you're just hoping that somebody will have mercy on you and publish your book. I've been at a lot of those conferences where people are just, they're just desperate. This is the last event they're going to go to. If they don't get a contract, they're done. And, we get a lot of those at these conferences. And so I'll tell you what I learned kind of the hard way. You have your agenda and you prepare for it. I prepare in the natural with everything I can. I have my notes. I look who's going to be there. I know I have appointments. I book them ahead of time. I plan all of that. I do books, all the things I know to do in the natural. But if you go in with no agenda, be prepared, but go in just saying, Lord, this is your event anyway. You have opened the door for me to go. I believe these are the things that I'm going to do. Like, these are the things I have on my plan, but I am asking you just to order my steps. You say in your word that you will. I want to follow those steps. And I thank you for the doors that you're opening that I would even have any idea were going to be opening for me. So I thank you that you direct my steps in every encounter that I have. I just pray your blessing upon. And then you don't have to be stressed out or out of breath or discouraged if you don't get to meet that one particular editor you wanted to meet, or, maybe this meeting didn't go well. Because in the big picture, it doesn't really matter. If you've already given it to God, then he'll cause that person to show up in the bathroom next to you, putting their lipstick on, and you'll have an encounter there. Like,
Yeah.
there's never a
Yeah.
missed opportunity with God. He'll bring it back up for you.
Yeah. I've had those bathroom lipstick encounters.
Well, I actually have.
I need to
Right.
preach now because you're onto something, Michelle. In the business world, in the models, you set goals, and you set a plan, and you make a plan and you follow the plan, and there's a lot of, and that's all fine and good. I'm a coach. We
Right.
set goals. I get it, but we can get tunnel vision on the goal. And we think that if we can get an audience with that influential publisher, we think that our future is held by that person. That's wrong, Michelle.
That
God.
is wrong. That's right.
So be like Jesus. Remember Jesus was, going somewhere, and this woman touched his garment, and he stopped
Hmm.
and healed that woman.
Right.
And there were times when kids kind of got up in his lap, and the adults were saying, "Hey, hey, hey, he's important. Get over." Jesus was interruptible. Okay, well, take a hint.
That's right. Yeah.
Set your goals, make your plans,
Hmm.
but be prepared, be flexible.
That's
Have your radar up in the periphery as you're tunnel visioning to your goal, but do not neglect the periphery, because God may have what he has for you over here, and you're just looking the wrong way.
That's right.
Don't
Yeah.
miss opportunities because you have taken matters into your own
You,
hands.
you're just focused on one thing. I actually just finished writing a devotion for the book called Springtime Devotions that Andy Clapp and I are doing together.
Mm.
Comes out next spring with Skyhorse Publishing. I think in February it comes out. And it was actually, the title of it's Missed Opportunities. Maybe that's why that's on my mind. And it's about bluebonnets. When we lived in Texas, Boy, the bluebonnets are just gorgeous. They're everywhere. They're in the freeways, in the highways, in the center
Yeah,
there.
they're a weed.
There, it's not. Oh, it's just beautiful, and they're just fields of just bluish purple flowers. These wildflowers, they just grow everywhere, and I mean, I'd never seen anything like it. And so our first spring there would have been the spring of '99, and I remember the girls were real little. They were like 3 and 4, and I wanted to get their pictures in that bluebonnet field, any bluebonnet field, because our neighbor had shown me a picture that she took of her daughter when her daughter was like 5, and her daughter was maybe in her 20s then. And she said, I asked her about it, and she's like, "Oh yeah, I took that with my own camera." And she even told me where she took it, and I was like, "Oh, I'm going to do that this year." And this was like in the winter, so I was anticipating spring. I couldn't wait. And so there's only the thing about bluebonnets. There's a peak season, right? There's just a couple of weeks when it's they're at their primo color. The other weeks they'll be a little less, bold and kind of wilty and not as exciting. So I wanted to get it at their peak. And you can even read in the newspaper, the Four-Star Telegram would sort of keep you posted on when the peak color is going to be. And I'm like, all right, that's the day we're going. That's the peak color. I had the outfits to match and the little bonnets they were going to wear. And I mean, I had the whole thing planned. I made my plan. I was so excited, couldn't wait. And the girls were even excited about it. But, we were busy. Jeff was busy. He was a CPA with a firm down there. I was working full time as a magazine writer at a worldwide ministry out there in Fort Worth. My girls were busy. Everybody was busy. They even had they were little cheerleaders, little cheerleading gymnastics practices, and somewhere with our church commitments and everything else, we missed that peak season. I mean, I knew that like 4 or 5 days we had, and we just missed it. There was just too many other things to do, and I was so sad about that because we were going to go that next week, and it just wasn't as nice, and so we had to wait a whole year and they outgrew the dresses. We had to start all over. But I'll tell you what, that next year, buddy, we were there. That very first peak day, I got the best pictures you've ever seen. But it was a lesson to me is that, here's the thing. We had so many other things going in our life that the thing I really wanted to do was get the girls pictured in this beautiful bluebonnet field. I missed that opportunity. But the good thing about that is God brought it back around the next year and the year after that. Every year the bluebonnets are beautiful and they come back around. And in life, God will do the same thing, even if you miss it. Because we can be, it says don't grow weary in the well-doing. We can be out doing God's work and, being faithful in church service and serving on 52 committees and feeding the homeless, all those things, and miss something that God has for us because we're busy doing his work. That can happen. You can just be so focused on everything else that you miss what he's got for you. But I found that if your heart's right, God will bring it back around. It's like his timing is always the best timing anyway. So I don't stress about those things nearly as much as I did when I was in my 20s and 30s. I just don't, because I've seen it play out enough times in my life to know that even if I miss it, even if the opportunity passes me by, if it was meant to be for me, God will bring it back around. And that time I'll be ready. I'll be ready that next time.
Well, there are a couple things, Michelle. First of all, you don't have to wait a year. You can wait 6 months. Just go to the southern hemisphere and find, kind of a long trip for a bluebonnet picture. But
it would be, yeah.
And there's things we don't know this side of heaven. How do you know at the site where you were going to take that beautiful picture that a rattlesnake wasn't there? I mean, you don't know.
That's true.
How do we, there are so many things that God is orchestrating. We can't possibly keep up with them. You have so many things going on. I never know what to put. I put this book cover up here.
Yes. Dachshund Through the Snow.
I figured it was public. I got it from your Facebook page. So
yeah, I'll be signing that at for Victoria Durastock, who's the publisher of In-Game Press. Mm-hmm. She acquired that book from me this past year. It's their In-Game Press's very first picture book, very first Christmas book. I'm excited. It comes out in October 12th, but I'll be signing it at CPE. The first copies, I'll actually get to hold the very first copy in my hands this weekend. Vicki flies in on Sunday, and we've got a meeting. We're going to be talking some things, but I'm so excited to see it. It came in this week for her, and she sent me pictures of the various pages. And I mean, I squealed like a little girl. This is one of those projects that's been on my heart forever because I love dogs and I love dachshunds. I've always had dachshunds. My other little dachshund's laying right down here. I've always had dachshunds, and so I've kind of wanted to write a story about a dachshund for a long time. And this is one. I was visiting Kyle in his church. Kyle Young, my agent, is a pastor in Michigan, and I was there think it was 3 years ago in February to do a women's conference. And it snowed. In Michigan, they get some snow now. Like Southern Indiana, we get some snow. I mean, it was a blizzard. You couldn't see. I mean, I was staying at this lakefront house. You couldn't see the lake. When I got that next morning, I'm like, oh my goodness, how many feet is that? It's just insanity. I thought we'll have to have sled dogs to get to church. It was crazy. And so, I did the women's conference, but they did cancel church the next day because it was so terrible on that Sunday. And that's when I got the idea for this Dachshund Through the Snow. And so I mentioned it to Kyle, and all I had was the title and sort of the premise. And he's like, "You've got to write that book. I can sell that book. You've got to write that book." I'm like, "Okay, I just was going to run it past you." And then we came up with 2 other ideas. It's a trilogy. There's 3 stories, and to go with it. And he's like, "Oh yeah, you got to sell." It's taken me this long to have time on my schedule to actually write that book that's been in my heart for 3 years, and I'm just real excited about it because it's a cute Christmas story. It is, and it's about a cute little dog named Crosby. But there's a really great meaning. The whole meaning behind this book is Crosby is the littlest dachshund in the whole world. He was in the Guinness World Book of Records. He's teeny tiny. And so he's known for his small stature, but he doesn't want to be known for that. He wants to be known for something much more than that. And in this book, he helps save Christmas and ultimately proves that it's only the matter of your heart. That size is the only thing that matters, not your stature. And it's just, I wanted kids to read it and think, you know what, no matter my limitations or my size or my race or my background or anything else, what matters is what's on the inside. And that's what I hope this communicates to them. So I'm very excited about this book because I think it's just not only precious and adorable, that illustrations are beautiful, but I think it has a really good meaning, and I'm so excited. I can't wait to get it in my hands.
Yeah, as you were sharing that story, I was thinking about David.
Right.
All of his brothers, and these any others? Not really. There's this little guy out
He's out there tending the sheep. Yeah.
You don't want to see him, but God knew his heart. So
that's right. God says God looks on the heart, right? Man looks on the outward appearance, but God looks on the heart. Yeah. In this particular story, Crosby is in line to sign up for the Arctic Animal Olympics. He wants to be in the burrowing event because dachshunds are quite the great diggers. And he was really the best digger in all of Diggityville, but nobody really talked about that. They just talked about how little he was. And so that's what this whole story is about. But he gets bullied. All these other animals in line bully him. And so he's just like, he can't catch a break, coach. And so I thought anybody who's been bullied will just like cheer for Crosby. They'll totally relate.
Diggityville?
Diggityville. He's the best digger in all of Diggityville. That's right.
Is that in the book? Really?
It is, I promise.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, it is.
I don't have your talent, Michelle. I don't. I would not have come up with Diggityville.
Yeah.
Hooterville, maybe, but not Diggityville. Okay. Well, gosh, Michelle. So when will you be back? Wednesday?
I actually drive home Tuesday.
Okay.
Because I've got family coming in on Wednesday, so I needed to be home a day earlier. But yeah,
okay.
I'll be home Wednesday,
right.
Probably Tuesday night.
Okay, you going to introduce us to your family?
I hope so. If they're here in time.
Yeah.
Because of COVID, nobody's visited, right? It's just been really strange. And so my niece had a little baby, my great niece. I've never met her, and I can't wait to meet her. And I've only met my great nephew twice. So I'm excited for them to come and have some pool time at Aunt Michelle's house.
Okay.
So it'll be good to see my brother's children and his grandchildren. I haven't seen them in a long time. They're going to be in Indianapolis for some event, and they said, "Are you guys going to be home?" I'm like, "I will make sure I'm home." So I'll be driving like crazy to get home Tuesday night to be with my family.
Okay. Well, maybe that'll be the littlest baby in Babyville. Something.
Might be. Yeah.
All right. Well, Michelle, thanks for mentoring those out there that you've been down that road, and I think you're a pretty good guide. You've been there, you've done that, and it's inspiring. That's all the fun now. It's helping someone else. Bringing them up, because we've done.
That's right.
At my age, not yours, of course, but at my age.
No.
But you went further in a few years. It took me longer to get that far. That's what it is.
Mentoring's where it's at. I think that's I knew that God called me to do that. And I've been doing that for over 20 years now. Honestly, no matter what you know, and you think, well, I don't know very much. I mean, we've all said that probably about ourselves. You probably know more than somebody else, though. So there's
Yeah.
always something to teach. My buddy Bethany Jett, who we all know and love, one of her things that she always says is teach what you know, right? So just as you learn, you teach others. So you just teach as you go, teach what you know, and that's I've kind of always done that. So I love also to be mentored. So I always like to make sure I haven't got my circle so small that I'm the smartest one. That'd be a scary circle. I like to be in a circle where people know more than me, so I can continue to grow as well.
We've all got somebody, there's what I call the forward and backward link. There's
Hmm.
somebody ahead of us that is our mentor that we latch onto, we link up
Yes,
with. But
right.
then we also need to have that link where, so we're being pulled by that mentor, but we need to be pulling along someone too. I think it's
That's
called
right.
discipleship in the Bible. We have the
I
elder.
think you're right.
Yeah.
I think that's the ticket. Yeah.
Yeah, and that thing about making disciples, it's one of the,
Yeah.
it's like the most important thing. All right. Well,
That's
Michelle,
right,
thanks for
Coach.
visiting with us, and hopefully we'll get to meet your family next week. If not,
Yeah.
I know you'll send us somebody interesting to
That's right.
to be in your
I always
place.
do.
But thank you for sharing with us tonight, and hopefully we'll